What is going on, everybody? Today, I'm going to be telling you about my experience with the Whatnot app and why I no longer have it after using it for just 2 days. So just a little backstory first before I start getting into why I don't have it anymore, like things to look out for and some tips for you guys if you want to use it. My friend Heather that gave me all those samples, she said it's basically the best place to find good deals on fragrances, which, by the way, I do believe to be true in my short experience with the app. I had the app like a while ago, but I never really used, like I downloaded it, I created an account and I got on there and I didn't really know what was going on. So I just deleted it. But this time she kind of gave me showed me the ropes, I guess. Basically you go in there, create an account, you kind of gear it towards like what you're looking for. So in my case, fragrances, but they sell all kinds of things on their Pokemon cards and video game, like whatever you can sell on Whatnot. But like each person that's selling things, or like a lot of times they're like stores, they'll have their own little show. It's like a person comes on, they'll tell you a little bit about the item and then they'll start a auction for it. And after 10 seconds, whoever bids the most amount of money gets that item. I believe that you can add time to the auctions and stuff, but it's like you can like add like 5 seconds here and 5 seconds there, I think. But it's basically a 10-second auction. Whoever bids the most at the end of that timer wins the item, and then your money immediately comes out of your bank account. And that's kind of like the first thing you have to watch out for there is the money is gone from your bank account as soon as the auction ends, and there's no way for you to get that back unless the seller, like, let's say you accidentally bid more than you thought on something, or let's say you bid completely by mistake and you didn't even want to bid on the item, but your dog's ear hit the bid button or something like that. To my knowledge, you can't back out of that bid even while the auction's going on. And after it's over, you're probably not going to be able to get your money back because it says like sales are final or whatever. Every time you go in a show, they have like a little bio or description or something like that. A lot of times in there, they'll say like all transactions are final, no refunds, da 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 da. And in my experience, they pretty much stick to that. Like they're not giving you a refund. Ask me how I know. But yeah, that money's gone. It's theirs, and then they have to hold up their end of it and send you the item, right? And it has to be a real item. We'll get to that later, but evidently places have fake items too that people are getting. So that's the first thing you have to watch out for is just like really make sure you want something when you bid on it. That goes hand in hand with the second thing you have to watch out for, and that is that you can really have a problem with this app. If you're like a shopaholic or like not good with money or just like impulsive, probably best for you to just avoid this app altogether, because what I saw happening to me, and evidently happens to a lot of people, is you start bidding on stuff that you don't really want or need just because it's such a good deal that you feel like, oh, well, I kind of sort of like was interested in smelling what that smelled like, or somebody on Reddit said something nice about that, and it's $25 instead of 75, so why not? So you get into doing that, and that happened to me. I got some stuff on the way now. Stuff that's kind of like for example, one was Mont Blanc Legend, which I already have PDM Percival, so it's like I have the king. Like, why am I worried about the knight or the pawn or whatever? But it was $25, so kind of my like standard in my mind is Joma Shop. Like I'm not paying retail for stuff, but kind of like the prices on Joma Shop, if I can get stuff for less than that, I consider that a win, right? And you definitely can on Whatnot get stuff for quite a bit cheaper than Joma Shop. But you have to be careful because, it's like, oh, it's only $25, but if it's 25 on this one, 40 here, another 25, 60, 35, before you know it, you spent $500 and you're like, oh crap, like you may or may not even have that money. So, yeah, you just have to be careful about that. If you're a shopaholic, especially like if you're a rich shopaholic and you've got unlimited funds, by all means, like you're going to love it. But if you're not, if you're a normal person that has to kind of watch their spending to some extent, just be careful is all I'm saying. Speaking of the deals, my next little like tip or thing to watch out for is you can definitely get better deals than Joma Shop. But a lot of these sellers charge a lot for shipping. I guess they can set their own shipping prices or something. Like, for example, I paid $15 shipping for an item that was one state away. I figured it would be like $6, like $5-6, something like that. So you have to watch out for that because, if you buy something on Whatnot for $35, it's $50 on Joma Shop. You're like, oh, I got a deal. And then you pay $15 shipping for it. Not so much of a deal anymore. And I believe there's other little fees and stuff that they throw in there. Maybe it's just taxes. But yeah, there's money beyond just what you're paying for the actual item that you have to kind of factor that to say, am I really saving that much money by buying stuff off here versus, another discounter or something like that. As far as like things you have to watch out for in the actual auction, let me just tell you my story of what kind of happened to me. How I would say in my mind that I got scammed, but it's kind of sort of got scammed. I will take, partial blame for it. Probably a part of what happened was just me not really knowing what I was doing and being inexperienced. And thank God it was kind of not a huge price to pay versus what it could have been. But the people were definitely being like scammy for sure. Let me just tell you what happened. So I was in a show, Gift Express. I left that show to go to another show to see what they had going on because whatever they were showing at the time on Gift Express wasn't really like tickling my fancy. So I left and then I came back to Gift Express. When I came back, what I saw was a guy waving this around on screen. And side note, you'll notice on Whatnot a lot of times they'll be selling a lot of the same stuff over and over again. Like they'll bring up like, I would say like lower tier designers like Burberry, Coach, Jimmy Choo, Marc Jacobs, stuff like that. Actually, Marc Jacobs, I think is kind of like a nicer one, but Dolce & Gabbana comes up a lot. So, and then they'll bring stuff like this in that's like kind of like a more, like people get like more amped up about it. YSLY, everybody loves it. It's a little more expensive than those other ones. They'll bring an item like this in and then they usually like pump it up a little bit. Like they'll say, hey, I got a YSLY here. It's 100 milliliter, big bottle. Can I get W's in the chat or can I, say that you're interested because they're trying to wake people up and get them to bid so they don't have to basically give this thing away on their end. Right. So I come back into the show. He's waving this around and, I didn't hear him say anything. I didn't hear him say anything at all. I'm like, ooh, YSLY. And I'm on my phone and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this to start. I'm gonna be the first bidder, right? Not that matters. So the auction starts, I'm the first bidder, right? I swipe on it as if waiting 2 seconds would have killed me. I wish I did now. So I swiped, but the problem was I realized that I didn't watch my $1 go from $1 to $6 or whatever it naturally was going to be by people bidding. When I swiped, I realized that first swipe was $115. This is pretty much perpetually on sale on Joma Shop for $99. So like I would have not bid that much on that item. I thought everything started at $1. Literally the name of the show was $1 show with Sam or something like that on Gift Express. So yeah, I swiped. It was $115. Nobody else bid on it, obviously, because that's a BS price. And the money came out of my account automatically, $130.11 for a $99 fragrance with free shipping on Joma Shop, which obviously I wouldn't have done if I would have known better. But yeah, I immediately messaged them, tried to get them to cancel. I sent a request to cancel. They never responded. I kind of was like waiting around for them. They never denied the cancellation request. So I sent them a couple messages, like just kind of explaining what happened. I said, hey, I thought this was a $1 show. The item started at $115. I can get it for cheaper down on Joma Shop. Never got a response. They did like a day later deny my request and then they sent me the item, which was legit. I did do a legit check on Reddit and it seems like, according to those people anyway, that they all said that it was legit. So at least I got the real thing and not a fake, which we'll get into that with these guys in a minute. But yeah, they wouldn't do anything about it as kind of expected. I reached out to Heather and kind of told her what happened. And she's like, what show did you buy this from? And I said, Gift Express. And she was like, oh my God. She's like, I told you to reach out to me. She sent me some shows. She sent me like 5 shows. And she said, I told you to reach out to me before you buy anything from any other shows. So I can tell you if they're legit or not, because evidently she's on this app all the time. And she was like, oh no, she's like, that show in particular, I would never buy from because people are basically saying that they're pulling the old switcheroo a lot like they did on you. And also that they're sending people fake items actually, which is even worse. So yeah, lesson learned on that. But she basically was like, yeah, don't buy from those people. They're scammers. And I was like, okay, great. I looked at them. They're one of the bigger shows. They kept popping up. They had a 4.8 star rating out of 5. So I'm like, well, that's great. In restaurant land, that's great, right? If you have a 4.8 out of 5 restaurant, then that's a really good restaurant typically because they don't usually go that high. But I guess it's more like eBay, where I remember I was going to buy something off eBay one time and the seller had a 96% rating. I was like, well, that 96 is pretty good. That's A plus, right? But I did a little bit of research, and evidently a 96 on eBay, or evidently maybe something like this on Whatnot, is not very good at all. Actually, it said 96 was like pretty bad on eBay, that is. So maybe the Whatnot is kind of like a similar thing. I read some of the reviews, and it basically was like the 1-star reviews for this Gift Express was basically saying like, yep, they pulled the switcheroo on me, wouldn't refund me my money. Or a lot of people were saying that they actually got fake items from them. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have to be careful. I would say learn from my mistakes. Wait a second, like when the auction starts, wait a second just to make sure that it is a $1 thing and they didn't, sneak one in on you. By the way, thank God that I bought this and not Virgin Island water, because they did afterwards. And I would have bid on it too, because I thought it was going to be starting at $1. But afterwards, I saw them do the same thing with Virgin Island water. Only it was $420 Virgin Island water, which is like way more than like anybody would pay for that. You can get it all day, less than that. Of course, nobody bid on that one. Thank God that it wasn't some rookie like me who was like, oh yeah, I want this one, and just swiped as soon as it started. But yeah, definitely could have been a lot worse. I would say if you're gonna use the Whatnot app, either be rich, that's a good place to start, or like have one thing in mind. Like, let's say you want YSLY and you don't want to pay Joe Mashop's price. Let's say you want YSLY. I would go in there. You can ask the people in the show when they're having a show. You can ask them if they have YSLY 3.3 ounce, 100 milliliter, whatever, available. And typically they'll answer you, because typically they have a guy who's like the face, who's the one like on the video, and then they'll have somebody that's like behind the keyboard, like moderating or whatever. And they'll either the guy, he's usually looking at the chat, guy or girl is usually looking at the chat, or the moderator. Usually one of them will say like, yeah, we have that. We'll run it right now. Or they'll say, nope, don't have that, sorry. And then you can just go to the next show. I would go in there with that mentality. If you don't have unlimited funds, I would say go in there looking for something specific, only buy that one thing, and use the little custom price thing. That way, because something that did not happen to me, but I could see being a big problem, is as you're swiping on that little bid thing down there, that number can change as you're swiping. So it might say $30 and you swipe the bid $30, and it could change to $56 by the time you actually do it. And there's some lag in there. Like I've seen like bids come through after it ended on my screen and stuff like that. So I would say, like, if you're trying to get a good deal on something, have that number in your head, what you want to pay for whatever fragrance, and custom price. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you didn't overpay for it, and you just have to go find one somewhere else. I would say that's probably the best thing to do on Whatnot. I just deleted the app altogether because I could see it becoming a problem for the like just wanting to buy stuff because it was on sale. I could see that. And I also don't want to get myself into another situation where, one of my kids, pulls up the Whatnot app, clicks to join a show, bids on something that's $800, Pokemon Charizard, so I think they're a lot more than that, but you know what I mean. I don't want them problems. I might get back on it at some point. Like y'all seen in my last video, I definitely am trying to get Initio Paragon. So something like that. I might go into like one of these shows and be like, hey, you got Initio Paragon? And then if they say yes, wait a second, hop off the button for just 1 or 2 seconds, and then like set that custom price, or bid on it, if it's low. But again, that number can jump like pretty high, pretty quick. So I would just see if they got something I'm looking for, set that custom price, and just kind of stick to that, custom price. Yeah. So, I mean, this whole thing was like, obviously like a very negative experience, but it kind of made me start like rethinking, like, obviously my channel's new. I've only been in fragrances for a year, but it kind of made me honestly like rethink the whole fragrance thing, just because if I'm doing this, like if I'm trying to build a big collection, like I'm not making any money. Like a lot of these influencers are not making a lot of money off these videos, like a lot of influencers are. I think a lot of these influencers too, like not just in the fragrance community, but just in general, they come from wealthy family, like they have generational wealth. So like some of these guys, they like hop into the game and they already have like, $30, $40, $50,000 worth of fragrances sitting behind them before they ever started making money off YouTube. So like they already had money before the YouTube money started pouring in. But yeah, it kind of made me think like, if I'm going to be, building a big fragrance collection, like I'm going to if I'm buying on Mercari, eBay, whatnot, like I'm going to run into like some scams basically, and do I really want to do that? And also, why am I spending so much money on smell good juice when it's, it's for me, but like spending $500 on a bottle that you're going to go nose blind to after, a couple minutes, unless you're like got your wrist up your nose, and like my wife doesn't even enjoy most of the fragrances that I have. So it kind of like made me start questioning, like, do I really want to do this? But I think I'm just going to stick to kind of what my plan was and just leave it at that. And that plan has kind of been for the last few months anyway. My stand holds 32 fragrances. I'm going to try to find the 32 most badass fragrances that I can find that I would wear every day. Not that I will wear them every day, because, summer, winter, all that kind of stuff. There's certain things for certain occasions, but 32 fragrances that are just like amazing. I can't live without. I want to smell them all the time. I would smell them, all the time if they fit the occasion of the season or whatever. I think that's my goal. So I got a little bit of cleaning up to do, because I got some older fragrances I don't really wear. I got some of them for sale on Mercari right now. And I like Initio Paragon. That's definitely on my like to-do list. I definitely want to get that fragrance. I found a couple places where I think I can get it for around like 180, which I think is a pretty good deal. I think it's like $400 retail. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty good, but that is seriously, like, I'm still tripping about that scent. That is an amazing scent. That scent, like, it's like an experience. And I've never smelled anything that smells like it either. There's like good fragrances. You smell like good fragrances and you're like, oh, that's really good. But it's like it's a blue fragrance. I've kind of smelled that thing, roundabout thing before. With this, never smelled anything like it. So that's definitely going to be one of my 32. And I've a couple of the ones that I have in there now are going to like stay, like Greenlee. That's definitely going to stay. I got Percival. I love Percival. That's going to stay. What else? Mont Blanc Explorer. I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere, but stuff like that. Like I'm looking to get 32 really badass fragrances that I love. And that's kind of what I'm going to do with fragrances. I would like to do, so I don't want to be spending like a ton of money on the stuff unless it got to the point where I was like making money off spending money, which I'm very far from that. But also I think it'd be cool to do some more like street stuff, like, something here, go out in the street, guys or girls. Hey, which one do you like better? Like they've already done videos like this, like tally it up, like which one wins, stuff like that. But I think that'll be cool. And then it doesn't really require me to, spend a ton of my own money, like trying to build this massive, 1,000 fragrance collection or anything like that. But yeah, I know this was a little departure from my normal like testing and reviewing, but I felt like it was a good topic for me because it happened to me, and it might help some of you guys out. My little light just went out. I feel like this might help some of you guys out, just how to navigate the app. Or just stay off of it completely because you're like, yep, I've got a shopping addiction. I better not go on there because it might turn into a real problem. But yeah, so I felt like it needed to be said, and hopefully you guys can learn something. So we'll get back to the fragrance stuff though. So like, share, subscribe if you like this. Check out some of my other videos because that's more of what it's actually like, what this channel is actually going to be. But if you like the other stuff, like, share, subscribe, and hopefully this one at least helps somebody. So catch you on the next one.